Welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about animation, TV, movies, comics, and more. We are reviewing the second film in James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU, Supergirl. I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
And I'm Clifton.
Okay, Supergirl was released June 26, 2026. It stars Millie Alcock as Kara Zor-El Supergirl, Eve Ridley as Ruthie, David Corenswet returns as Superman, Jason Momoa as the always lovable Lobo, and Matthias Schoenaerts plays Krem of the Yellow Hills, the film's villain. Produced by James Gunn and Peter Safran for Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Studios, the film was directed by Craig Gillespie, written for screen by Anna Noguera, based on Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bilquis Evely. So, quick roll call, guys. Who has read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow?
I have read the book.
I still have not.
Okay. Clifton has not. Frank, you read it. I've read it.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure, just in case it comes up.
Gotcha.
All right. So, Supergirl introduced at the end of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But this is her first, so we got a taste of what she was gonna be like and kind of what her character was like there. But what do we think of her in her first full-length movie appearance?
She's definitely an interesting character.
Yes.
And an interesting take on Supergirl.
Yes.
And back when we did Fantastic Four, I brought up, we were asking about Reed Richards. And I was like, it's not my Reed, but in that case, I don't have a Reed Richards. I don't have a definitive Reed Richards. I do kind of have a Supergirl, my Supergirl in mind.
Right.
But just to say that this was not it, but this was a very interesting character that I did enjoy seeing and watching and learning more about. So it's not my de facto take on Supergirl, but I like what she does with it. And I like the version that we get. And I think it's a very interesting version that I enjoy exploring.
Frank, how about you? Thoughts?
Am I about Supergirl in general?
Yeah.
Or the one that we got?
However you wanna take it.
Well, I mean, I echo Clifton's sentiment that it's not necessarily the Supergirl that I've known, but then again, I think that DC over the decades struggle with Supergirl. They don't really know for sure how she's supposed to act, who she's supposed to be. Can she be just like Clark or Kal-El, or is she supposed to be her own thing? Can she be her own thing? And then there's the weight of the S shield and being part of the Superman / Kryptonian family, as it were.
Right.
So there's a lot of that. Overall, I like this version. I think this version's, I think it addresses some things that I honestly, I think have been covered in other places, but it definitely distills it down to what that must have been like for her as a character, as opposed to being Clark and rocketed to Earth as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot more to that aspect of it that I think gets a lot more attention in the Tom King version and in this movie that we don't really see elsewhere. Much, definitely the way that it affects her. I know in the comics for a long time, they did a couple of tryout issues where, what if there was a woman or a cousin or someone from Krypton? Generally, they're not like the guys. Generally, the guys are like, we're gonna be from Krypton, and I'm your long lost brother, or we live in the same neighborhood in Krypton. You just don't remember me because you're a baby, or whatever the story was in the Silver Age. Whereas the women were often not portrayed that way. They were either love interest or someone that Lois didn't like or whatever. That was kind of the difference in those stories. But they tried it out before they finally settled on, she's actually his cousin. There's a lot of stories of Linda Lee, her secret identity being in an orphanage while Clark is out running around, and she's supposed to be like a secret weapon in the event that something happens to Superman or something happens where Superman can't do Superman type stuff. He's like, well, at least I know you're here. But a lot of people point to the idea of you just left her in an orphanage.
Right.
That's where she's just supposed to stay, basically, in emergency break glass. And then Kara's supposed to come out and do her Supergirl stuff. And then eventually he's like, well, when you're ready, I'll introduce you to the world, kind of a thing.
This is like Silver Age.
Yes,
stuff.
definitely the
50s
Silver Age stuff. Yep, 50s,
okay.
50s and 60s. And then once she's introduced, she has her own comic. Has a backup in Adventure Comics. At one point, she's sharing a book with when she gets her own book, she's sharing a book in the 70s with Zatanna as the backup. But eventually, it gets to be a thing of, I guess, she has her big moment in Crisis, and then they try to bring her back in the 90s. And eventually, I think it's around the time of the animated series where they sort of like fold the idea of like, no, she's also raised by the Kents,
right?
De facto.
Okay, you're getting into a lot of stuff I wanted to touch upon. So yeah, I mean, but what one of the things that I thought to bring up was the fact that she is a character with a lot of different interpretations, right? There's some characters that are pretty strong with like, this is the take and this is the preferred take and this is what you should do, right? But she has a version in the Silver Age that is unlike her version in the 90s during the Dan Jurgens, like Peter David stuff, where she was the alien like, blob of protoplasm stuff.
She was May or the Matrix or whatever.
Right, yeah. That took the form of something that looked like Supergirl.
Well, hold on. We gotta pause a moment because there was like a mandate after Crisis where it was basically like John Byrne and people that were working on the Superman books at the time were like, nope, unequivocally, there is no other. He is the last son of Krypton.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's no
we've talked about this. Yeah, we've talked about this in other episodes. Where there was a editorial mandate that DC had for a period post Crisis that Superman is the last son of Krypton.
Right.
Is the only Kryptonian surviving. That I guess that they were like pretty good about like pretty strict about it in some areas and not so much in others. Right? Because because Zod and the Kryptonian guys show up in like issue 19. So it's like 19 issues in and then they're like, well, here's the criminals.
Right.
But,
in another kind of almost like a pocket universe type situation, even though there was also a thing at DC of like, we've made it simpler and more streamlined that there isn't infinite Earths. But, Byrne does his own thing and introduces the Kryptonian villain, Zod, and I can't remember the other two. Anyway, introduces them.
All of that. That brings up of like why the thing that we jokingly refer to as like Supergirl is the blob of protoplasm. Like that was the take in response to the fact that DC was like, you can't make her Kryptonian. Right. We want to use Supergirl, but we can't make her a Kryptonian.
Right.
So this is the answer. She's a protoplasm alien that could shapeshift and took the form of something that looked like Supergirl and was a superhero for a little while. It's weird. It's
over the weekend, I saw somebody just refer to her as Weird Supergirl, capital W, Weird Supergirl.
It's totally weird.
Right.
Then there's the Tim stuff, the animated stuff that had like a different take on Supergirl. That was like one of the first iterations of like his cousin coming back, right? But still also had to work with the fact that like that the DC wanted him to still be the only Kryptonian that was extended to the show, and this is why like she's not from Krypton in the Bruce Timm Superman animated series cartoon. This is why she's from a planet called Argo. Right. And they're like, okay, well we want to do her as the cousin, but we can't make her from Krypton, so we're just make her from another planet. And she was always from like Argo City on Krypton, so they just made it to a different planet, right? All this to say, and then she's reintroduced finally in Superman Batman the comic book, and then there's this movie. So there's a bunch of different versions in the comics already.
Right.
And so there's all to say that there's some flexibility here of things to play with. Right. And I appreciate that for this. One of the other things that you brought up, Frank, was that like that she doesn't have the influence of the Kents. Right. And I think that that's really important here. I like what I like about her character in this is that like you get the sense of in Superman's purity, I don't think is like called into question much. Like I don't know how hard it is for him to maintain that true blue, right?
Yeah.
The sense is that like Supergirl has to work at it a little bit more.
Yes.
Right.
Well, she's a little more free formed. Like she's a person. Whereas, he's a baby and everything he knows is from the Kents.
And I get that may not be the Supergirl that people like, but I can understand too, like, well, if we already have a Superman, like, why are we just going to have like a girl version that's exactly the same? Like, why are we not going to make it different? And, so we can play to a relationship that is building between the two of them, I really liked this version. I thought she did a great job with it. I think, she's magnetic. I think she's got a ton of screen presence. She's able to kind of make this, what's the word? I don't want to use a strong word like debauchery, right?
She's rough around the edges.
She is,
but she's rough around the edge, and she's somehow able to make that very likable and not come off as completely irresponsible also. Right? Like, there's layers to her that I think are pulled off nicely.
One of the things I found throughout it was done really well by the story and by her was the idea that you can see, yes, she's a person and she has her own thoughts and her own, way of doing things. But you can also see that as much as she thinks Clark is a nerd and a dork, like, his influence has been a part of her life too. There are moments where like stuff that comes out of her mouth, regardless of how she's acting, isn't necessarily what she would have done or what she would have said, but she knows what Clark has taught her or tried to show her or whatever, which I thought was it's a good character bit, because it definitely is a thing of she's going to do things her own way. And we see that early on. But the other thing I thought was interesting about it was the fact that I found myself, because we'll get into it, I guess we can get a little too of like, how many people just wanted to dog this movie and drag it through the mud and not give it a chance. Whereas I think it's one of those things where, as you said, the fact that she's a rough around the edges or she's got some issues or whatever, I kept going back to the idea of like, if this were a man, Superboy had these issues, I don't think people would have judged him nearly as harshly as they judged her.
Yeah.
Because she does a lot of stuff that you've seen, drunken cowboys, the drunken gunslinger, or, his
name's Star-Lord.
Right, exactly. Or a drunken samurai or a drunken fighter or whatever. Yeah. People love that stuff when it's a guy.
Like if this was like Connor Kent with the leather jacket, Superboy, and undercut, and
the John Lennon granny glasses, he would have been, he would have been fine. No one would have batted an eye. But I think it's also it's one of those things of, a lot of people, just like I said, were didn't like her for whatever reason, didn't like the fact that Gunn's got a chance to make movies now, didn't like that it's not the Supergirl they thought it should. I mean, there's so many things I've seen since the movie came in and before it, of people just being like, nope, this isn't what I want. This isn't going to be the thing I want. So therefore, I'm not going to give it a chance whatsoever.
Right.
Much less the character. I mean, regardless of the character, the movie itself was just like, nope, which I don't think is fair.
And again, I think like that's the nature of the relationship is that she is working at being what he is.
True.
And
absolutely
is trying to do and I just understand that from a like universe building and a characters playing off of each other kind of thing. Like, we just got a Superman movie. This is the second movie in this shared universe.
Yep.
And like you want like an exactly the same as the Superman movie we just got.
Right.
Like why? Why wouldn't it be different?
I agree
a little bit.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I'm a lot of the criticism that I've heard about the movie, I'm very perplexed about. I'm like, right. I just don't understand it. And we can get into that in a little bit.
Okay.
What I like about this movie is this is a movie where you have a lot of planet hopping and big universe stuff, right? And it's a big space opera adventure thing. And I like also that it is simultaneously very small. It's a revenge plot.
Yep.
And I really, really like that about it. There's no like superhero third act in here that is like the X-Men movies, or like Magneto's gonna turn everybody into mutants, or we have to stop, right? You know what I mean? Like this kind of plot that's been regurgitated so many times. It like puts the universe at risk. And I like that the universe isn't at risk here. I like that it's like literally like we're just trying to find creme of the Yellow Hills. Like that's it.
Right.
You know, and we're hunting this guy down. I like that. I like it's like from a variety standpoint, I really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
I like it. It's a very Western type plot.
I mean, it is very, I mean, nothing against the nothing against Tom King. It's true grit. Let's be honest. Like it's true grit. It's literally true grit. And that's fine. I'm not saying that as a knock. I'm not saying as I did enjoy the book or the movie. It's true grit, the movie. It's basically, someone wipes out her family. She wants to get revenge. She can't do it alone. She thinks she might be able to do it alone, but she needs help. And then she runs into this, person who's gone through a lot, had a lot of trauma that they haven't dealt with, and, happens to be a drunken sod at the moment, and they need their help. But that's the plot. And it's basically, I agree with you. I like the fact that it is our first basic, foray out into space so far in the Gunn stuff, while at the same time it is very much a personal movie. And again, when we're talking about the criticism of the movie, someone tried to say that they hadn't seen any kind of character arc in either of these two movies, either Superman or Supergirl, and I'm like, you don't know what a character arc is then if you don't realize that they're going through, there's a lot of character there's a lot of stuff that they're going through in both movies, as well as other characters around them. So I don't think that's a valid criticism whatsoever. And the other thing is, it's not like Supergirl's out there as like a she's not out there she's not even wearing her costume. She's just out there trying to celebrate her birthday and numb her pain. Yeah. When this falls into her lap. That's another thing I think is very interesting too.
I agree. I think again too, I think this gets kind of, when a male superhero does this kind of thing, like we praise it, like Batman's not even in costume for the first half of the movie, right? Right. Christopher Reeve Superman's on Krypton for the first hour or whatever, or 5 hours of that movie, what it feels like to me, right? It's like, it is bold to me that she's not in costume until the very end of the movie,
right. But again, but then it's also very, not to jump into the climax, it is very much in tone of the movie. It's not only is it one, the reason of why, there's more to it than just she puts it on.
Yeah.
Right. It's very much a choice made in the moment of like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do because this is who I want to be. Right. That's basically what that is. And again, I don't know. Maybe it's just a failing of our educational system that they don't teach story structure and they don't teach how this stuff works. I don't know.
The immediate literacy is on the decline.
But it's one of those things where, like, the fact that people don't see that's what it is, it's not just, oh, she put her costume on for the back half of the movie. No, she puts her costume on because she chooses to be the person she wants to be, even though she's still like, it was a great moment in when they're talking after they get done, when they're waiting to see, when they made a deal. We're spoiling this movie. When she's waiting with Ruthie with the couple, and Ruthie's, she's talking to Ruthie about what it might cost. And they've had the flashback to Krypton, and we'll get to that. But when she says the thing of like, Ruthie's like, well, surely you're a better person now. You're over this, right? And you've gotten past it. And she's like, any day now, which means which if you have anyone and everyone has some form of trauma. The idea that, you ever could fully put it down is a novel approach, especially when you're a kid, as opposed to, no, I'm going to learn how to deal with it and approach it better than, getting myself knockout drunk and possibly hurt on a planet where I don't have my powers.
So what did we think of Ruthie?
I liked Ruthie. I thought the actress was good. What's the actress's name?
Eve Ridley.
Yeah, I thought she was good. I thought it's one of those, kid parts are tough, and it's tough to be a kid and a kid actor and hold your own with other actors that are not the same age as you. I liked her. I thought she was good. I did think, she seems very, again, when I think about True Grit, I think about Haley Stanfield, and that she played in the last version of True Grit that we got, the one with Jeff Bridges. She's very much the same sort of character, where she needs the help of someone else to go after the people that killed her family. I don't know. I thought overall I thought she was very good.
Yeah.
There was no point where I was like, oh, this doesn't work, or this scene doesn't work, or she doesn't sell it.
Right.
The scene where she convinces the guard to come in and Lobo's watching, I thought was a great scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Where she's, they've both been captured, and Lobo's just kind of like, oh, there's more to you than just this little kid. And again, I think back to the idea. For me, she seemed very Arya Stark, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that she's grown up around weapons, so she's more than likely pick them up at one point or another.
Right.
That was my backstory into her, was the idea of like, oh no, she's probably got an idea of how to use this stuff. She's just not of full body or full full ability just quite yet.
Her father is like the best like sword maker,
right?
Like in the universe. I think it's a tough role to like do well, and I think Ridley like knocked it out of the park. I mean, because I think part of it is that you need to have a balance of that this is just a kid, and the kid needs to have like some semblance of innocence, like wide-eyed innocence, to be maintained throughout, right? As that innocence is being taken from her when her family is killed, and now she has to like go on this, I keep saying like revenge plot, but she has to like go on this revenge plot to find this person and kill him, is what her goal is. And it's like, she's got to be a kid, but she's also got to be a character with enough gumption that like you believe, like when they get together, like, no, she's going to like run him through with a sword. Right. Like she's mad enough and she's capable enough that this is what she's going to do. And I think that like she just nailed it. This is one of the things where I do think she comes off as a little younger to me in this movie than I guess I thought she was in the book.
Yeah.
When I read it, like she comes off as a little bit older to me in the book. I don't know if that's just me.
I mean, I've only ever seen the art from the book.
Right.
And I assumed it was an older character. I assumed it was a character much closer to Supergirl's own age, just based on the illustration. I don't know what the narrative intent was, but that is what, at least the cover art appeared to me. That's what I would have thought.
And I guess also like worth pointing out, I guess maybe like people that aren't comic book readers may not appreciate enough about this movie is the smallness also of the material it's based on. Like Supergirl is a character that has been around since the 50s, but she is sharing the screen with people that are really have only existed because of this story.
Right.
Right. Like their publishing history is the 8 issues of this book. And that's it. Right. As far as I know, I mean, right. Like maybe Krem is some obscure villain, but I don't think so. Right.
No, I don't. As far as I know, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's a villain that fits the story without wasting one, I guess, on a story, not being able to revisit this character later, kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that is compared to a lot of the other comic book movies that are just kind of amalgamations of a lot of different comic stories over a lot of years, multiple versions of the same story over many years. This one is different in that it is really more like a book adaptation. It is with some license thrown in, which we'll get into with some of the other characters that show up, but it is more of a direct adaptation than many comic book movies. It really is just taking one specific story and saying we're adapting that story to the movie, which a lot of the comic book movies don't. So that is different about this one.
Yeah, the comics tend to be a little more broad.
Yeah.
And tend to borrow or make a bouillabaisse of different stories. Which again, I'm not knocking. I'm just saying
even
it's fact.
No, I agree. I'm just saying I'm not knocking it either, but I mean like even the movies that are quite literally named after a story in the comics, like Civil War. In Winter Soldier and stuff like that. We're like clearly like this is the Brubaker stuff is the inspiration of for this stuff or the big Civil War event is the inspiration for this, but like those movies resemble like very little those comics outside of premise.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
like this one, we've said it like, cause it's been in all of our like, look ahead and summer movie excitement things like it is very much like you're saying, Clifton, like it is this story and there's some wiggle room to play with it, but we're not really like deviating too much from and truly not fluffing it up that much.
No.
Yeah, just moving some pieces, like hammering it into the DCU hole that it needs to go into. So those edges get, shaved off to make it fit. But other than that, it's the piece that it is.
Yeah, because that was, again, another criticism I saw was people trying to say that we could have got a wonderful adaptation of the story. I'm like, again, what movie did you watch that after reading the book that you didn't realize this was adapted from Woman of Tomorrow?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those, it is one of those things. And this is our first time talking about the movie. Like we did not stand together after the movie and review like that. We are hearing each other's thoughts for the first time here. And that's been my thing too, is it's the reviews have been so negative for it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, feels pretty close to me.
Yeah.
The book. Like I've heard people like even say like the book is so strong and the based off of like material this strong, we should have got a better movie. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but
right.
what's in the book that's not there?
Right.
For you. You know what I mean?
Right.
We'll get to that.
I'm sure some of it is people wanted. I mean, there is more moments of Supergirl doing Supergirl stuff that doesn't have to do with Ruthie, but still, I had a hard time. I had a difficult time saying, well, what would that have added that we didn't already get when she basically drops everything at the bar to go help Ruthie in the first place?
Right.
Like Ruthie's quick enough to pick up on the fact that, oh, so you help people that are in trouble even though you don't have to.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So Frank, for this though, I mean, when you were watching that, did you have a sense, like, were you waiting for them to sort of drill into the idea that Superman is a known entity throughout the universe?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I had a moment where when we get to the climax and they drop her off on that planet and you find out the reveal of like, oh, by the way, it's not just a yellow sun, right? There's a green sun. And then, and then I got the questions of, what does a green sun do? And I'm like, well, in some cases it's of the same wavelength as kryptonite, so therefore she's affected by it, blah, 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 blah. But then the other question my wife had was, well, wait a minute, how did he know that to formulate the darts or the arrows for her, knowing that she's Kryptonian? She tells, she tells Ruthie, but she doesn't exactly tell Krem that she's a Kryptonian. So then we sort of answered it in the moment of, well, either it was a scene that got cut that gets explained, or they realize, or my thought was when they steal her ship, her costume is on board, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they obviously see that she has the S shield. So now, granted, Superman, this became a longer deep dive into the lore that we have so far for Gunn's universe is, well, Superman's only been active for like 3 months, right? At that point, when we pick up with Superman, he'd only been around 3 months or 3 years. What was it? I don't remember.
It's 3 months. I think it's 3 years, isn't it?
Maybe. It's been a long, but not that long. Anyway, if he's gone to space and people know what that symbol means, well, then it makes sense that they would know that she's probably Kryptonian, they assumed, right? But they didn't hit you over the head with the idea that they would know that she is or she isn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was like the moment in the momentary fix, but I kind of agreed that they needed to say, well, we know that she is, and therefore we're ready for her. But again, that spoils the ending, the big, the thing that is revealed in the end of it, right? That wouldn't necessarily play out the same way had they done that.
Right. Yeah, I guess, and I'm fine with it that they didn't that Superman didn't have sort of I guess fame or notoriety throughout the cosmos,
right.
Like he does in the comics, but it was something in the back of my mind watching it going, is this going to be a factor? Right. Like, is she going to recognize the symbol when she finds the costume in her ship and be like, oh, like,
right,
you're related to him.
Right.
You're with him. right?
Mhm.
And that moment doesn't materialize.
No.
But it did make me wonder if there's like versions of the draft that it did.
True. I wondered about
Right.
that too. Yep. No, I wondered about that. Again, it's also one of those things of, just the idea that she's kind of, along with her running, like basically running away from her trauma and her pain, she's obviously running away from, the comics do a good job of like, anytime you're going to put on that S shield, it carries a certain responsibility, right?
Yeah.
There's been tons of moments and tons of stories of, well, if you're going to do it, that's great, but just know you got a lot to live up to, right? And I think that's one of those things where I think it's implied. I don't think they hit you over the head with the idea of that's part of what she's dealing with as well is, it's not necessarily a burden if I do this, but it is a choice and something I have to decide that I want to do this if I'm going to be part of this, part of this situation or part of this group or part of this, Superman family kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think they had chemistry together too. I really liked the way that like Ruthie and Supergirl played off of each other.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice dynamic. I mean, like she has to be kind of like protective and older caretaker of, while also like still being a friend and having a friendship develop. And I thought they did that nicely.
Yeah, no, I thought they worked the two of them together had, like, I agree with you. They was definitely a good, a lot of the back and forth really worked, I thought.
Right.
And sometimes, again, that's really hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, they both had presence. They were both carrying their weight on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
There's never any time about either performance I thought like, oh, that performance could have been better or whatever.
Right.
Like there was no point where I thought that about either of them. I was just bought into their characters and their stories the whole time.
Yep.
What about Krem of the Yellow Hills? I like saying his full name. It's fun. Because it's like the movie, they hit it over your head with it, and the reason they do that is because it's like every time he's referred to in the book, it's referred to as Krem of the Yellow Hills.
Right.
Like every time, like it's kind of it's sort of like the way that Tom King crafts her dialogue, Ruthie's dialogue, is that she's very long-winded, like I am.
Yes.
Right. Yep. Like super long-winded and has an eloquent way of speaking and a big vocabulary and stuff like that. So she does kind of say the whole title of things when she speaks. Right. And so I guess for anybody that's watching the movie and thought like, why are they really drumming you over the head with this? It's like, because it's from the book. Right.
Okay.
Right. Yep.
But where are the Yellow Hills?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Probably nowhere good.
Somewhere out in space, somewhere out there.
It's one of those things where in the comic, he's got a different look.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite look like this.
Yes. They adjusted the visual.
And he reads a little more menacing on screen, I think, than he does in the book. I think in the book, he's supposed to be, I don't know if he's supposed to come off as kind of roguish.
He's kind of handsome in the book, right?
Yeah. Right, he's kind of kind of space piratey, kind of like, that's what I'm saying. Like he's supposed to be a guy that's not necessarily, I mean, this guy, you look at him and you're like, you probably cross the other side of the street.
Yeah.
You find a reason not to be around him.
I read the book, I think in like 2021 or something. So the book had been out like maybe 2 years at that point. So it's been a while. And I did not reread it going, getting ready for the movie or anything. But yeah, I mean, like, so I guess for viewers who haven't read it too, I guess like Fandral from Thor.
Yeah.
Is kind of like the visual, if you could, like of the Warriors 3, like he looks very much like that, if memory serves.
Like the swashbuckler?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's like a redhead, right? Isn't he like redheaded? If I remember correctly, he does look like a redheaded Fandral.
Right.
Fandral. Yeah.
And so the visual here, so like the black leather is like different, like all the they're not piercings, but like the jewelry, like the face jewelry, like that's a new thing, which is cool. It's a cool visual. I thought that the first thing I noticed is I think that he may have the shortest screen time of any bad guy in any of these kind of movies.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
But that said, I mean, I think he does have a presence too.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of the shark from Jaws, like when he shows up, it is a little like, oh crap,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, in just the nature of the plot, like it serves him to not be there all the time because the quest is to find him.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does serve the plot to find him. Oh, it doesn't work.
Right.
Now you're worse off. Now you got to find him again in better conditions, and maybe it'll work out better next time. I think it does work. It does serve the plot like that. I don't necessarily feel like I needed to see more Krem. I was
Right, well-
he gets the job done, and I was fine with it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the amount we got is just right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think, I mean, I understand why people are like, oh, this guy is not that, what's the big deal? I mean, he serves the purpose. You don't need him to be, I don't need him to be Brainiac. I don't need him to be Mongol or, or
Right.
Kanjar Ro or something,
Mhm.
even though I was hoping, somewhere
yeah.
we'd get him. But
Right. Next time.
yeah, but again, I feel like it was, he served the purpose, but I also understand why people are kind of like, well, it's not really, but again, I don't think they want this to be a situation where characters are constantly, villains die every movie. I don't think that's what they want.
Right.
I think they're going to want to have a universe and, the threat of someone like Mongol or someone like Brainiac coming back, is something that the comics have been running on for 80 years at this point.
I think so. Clifton, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, just like from a plot structure, it doesn't make sense for him to be all over the movie. But I think also his absence in the movie is helpful. That yes, he's not a Fassbender. He's not a Michael Fassbender Magneto, right? He's not who's another one of these, like Killmonger is another one, right? We're like where you kind of root for them,
right?
And I feel like that his lack of screen time is intentional in that way too, to not have him teeter on like the heel that people cheer for, to use a wrestling analogy, right?
Sure.
Which is always the danger in wrestling, right? That like if you're too good at being a heel, you're gonna start to be liked, right? And that's counterproductive because we want you to like the good guy,
right?
And so I think that's a feature of this movie, in my opinion. It's not a critique of it, that he's not in it very much.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I was not upset about the fact that we didn't get more of him. I think it's also allows you as a viewer to imprint more of what you think he actually is about.
Right.
As opposed to having to be like, nope, he has a tragic background that's why he has, that's why he traffics in young girls. I don't need the reason why he's horrible. Let's deal with him as him being horrible kind of a thing.
And like he's got no greater scheme going on. Like
no.
he's just going about his day. This whole movie is just him going about his average days.
Yeah. He's just you know who he is? He's a Mad Dog Tannen.
Yeah,
right?
Basically.
Like to go with the Western thing, Back to the Future 3 again. Like, yeah, I mean, you're right, Clifton. That's it. Like he's just the jerk.
Yeah.
Just doing his thing.
Yep. That's it.
And for me, that's refreshing.
Yeah.
That there's not some vast, huge plot that we're, or scheme. Yeah. Like,
right.
I like where this movie, because by now, I mean, we've gotten like, how many years of MCU? Since 2008? Almost 20 years. Right?
Almost.
Like it's been almost 20 years of like this iteration of comic book movie. Like
18 years. 18 years now.
Yeah. Like it
18
is.
years this summer.
It's taken us like this long to get like something that like I think like really like actively looked at, like, here's the tropes, here's what's commonly expected in these movies. Let's not do this, let's not do that, let's not do this.
Right.
And I do appreciate it. And if that's a tell of how the DCU is gonna go, like I'm gonna enjoy it. I think I'm gonna very much enjoy the tonal differences and the difference in scale between movies. I mean, we only got 2 to go on, but I appreciate that.
One thing I was thinking watching this in the tone of it, speaking specifically to the tone, is it reminded me of like a sequel, like a Superman 2 or an Empire Strikes Back. Like it was the darker sequel. There was just no first movie.
Yeah.
to this, unless you count Superman, which I think you can. I think you can kind of. So I feel like that might have thrown some people too in some of the reviews, because you come in and it doesn't feel like the first movie to me. And I'm at the point where I don't think, like, for a long time we've not needed first superhero movies. The second ones were often better. And it finally got to the point where you could kind of just jump to it and it should be fine. But maybe not everybody was ready for that. I was, but maybe not everybody was ready for like the kind of darker, more character one than you get in the first like introductory one. But it felt like a sequel movie to me, just in tone.
Yeah, you're right.
Just there wasn't a first one.
Yeah, you're 100% right. That's true. That's true. I mean, so okay, so I'm calling an audible here, like, because it wasn't in our show notes when we were discussing. We didn't have a Superman segment, but let's throw Superman in, because his screen presence is not tiny in this. It's not huge, but he's got multiple scenes.
Yeah,
he's
ditching his calls.
For a while. I think some of the strongest scenes of this movie are the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The scene where she lands, like after it's not after the Krypton flashback, because I think it's broken up. I think they break those scenes up, right? Like you get glimpses of the Krypton destruction and like in her experience with it,
right?
And she's rocketed off of the planet, and then later
off of the chunk of planet.
Yeah, and then later on in the movie we see the instance where she lands.
Yeah.
But I like that moment, like when she's landing and she doesn't speak English, and and he's like, I was tracking your rocket, like this is home,
right.
and he doesn't speak Kryptonian. I like that he's trying to be welcoming to her,
right?
And we see, and we get the bit with like Crypto like right away,
mm-hmm.
Doesn't like him.
Well, I mean, I do think it's interesting that like he tries, like he immediately is like, well, no, you're going to have an experience like I did. I think that's one of those things where without meaning to, he's not being a jerk or trying to be anything other than welcoming, but he doesn't stop and think, oh, you've had all this other stuff that happened to you. What's your story? Whereas to him, it's like, no, you're gonna pick up where you left off and it'll be okay.
Right.
And
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just, it worked for him.
Right. Well, yeah, there's that too.
So it should work for her. It should work for her. It'll be fine.
Even though the language barrier's there, it's not hitting him that it's like, I didn't have to learn English as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
I just learned English, right? Because that's what my mom and dad spoke when I landed as a baby.
Right.
But, right away, like she's got to learn the language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I like also that like his presence is really felt in this movie without being completely overbearing. I think.
Right. I just like the fact that there's the way they play the connective tissue of it all. Obviously that he would be a factor in her life, but again, it's not like he's, flying out to check up on her, or you can tell he's a little disapproving of the fact that she's doing what she's doing. But, again,
but trying not to judge. He's not, he's trying not to be judgy.
Right. Yeah. He's definitely trying not to be judgy with her about it.
He's trying to give her space.
Yeah, he's trying.
Space to be who she is.
Right. Yeah, for sure. He's trying to. At the same time, he's also being...
he's kind of judgy.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, there's a little under.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in skipping to like their moment at the end, where like there is that bit where he's, like, oh, I had this, like, today was a bit of a day, and fighting this guy was tough, and like I could have used you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that. I like that it's just sort of like it's he's not trying to guilt her. I don't think. I think he's just kind of stating it matter of factly, and I think that it, I mean, like that scene does a lot for what we're saying. I think we're like, I think he would like to see a little bit more out of her.
Sure,
but
I think one thing I did like about the fact that since we didn't get spoiler, we didn't get a real kind of let's connect the DC universe to all of this stuff. I mean, we do, but we don't get one at the end. We don't get a what's looming out there kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
We do get that moment of them sort of having their moment together, which I thought was nice. I like the way that was done.
Right.
The scene of them sort of talking about, well, this is what we, like you said, well, you know, it was a tough day. I could have used you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not like coming down on her for being out there celebrating her birthday or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And like when she comes back, he's happy she's back, but he doesn't want to like be overbearing about being happy she's back. So he tries to play it cool to like not scare her off again, I assume.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
Yes. Not love her, not smother her with love.
Right. So I thought that was like a nice little play of the character. He's like, oh, really? You're staying? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how that was played too.
All right. So, but let's go into Krypton. then.
Okay.
Yet another version of Krypton on film.
Right.
What did we think of this one?
I mean, I like this one.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the like rocky, boring like Krypton we often get.
Yeah.
And I've said it on the show before where I was like, how am I going to mourn this place that looks like it sucks to live in?
Yeah.
And
Right.
like there's the Krypton show that Sci-Fi Channel did a few years ago. And it is an interesting show that does have some very interesting elements, but their Krypton is horrible to live on.
Yeah.
Like it's
Right.
just like it's all rocks and their technology is all rocks and we got it in Man of Steel, you know, that
Right.
iteration. I mean, even in the Christopher Reeve stuff, it's kind of like they're just standing around crystals all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've never been sold on any of those Kryptons just because it was like, how am I going to mourn this place when it doesn't look like it's that great a place?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
do like a more optimistic looking, even though we do only see it now and it's like most dire times. Both times we see it in this movie is right when it's about to blow up Krypton, and then the surviving chunk isn't having good times. Most of the time we see it. Argo City is not having any good times, but you can kind of tell, like, it looks like a more optimistic, like futurist world, like, you know, 1950s sci-fi future world, to me. So, I mean, I do like that.
It's a streamlined design sense without being sterile.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and sterile, I think, is the word I would use for every other iteration of it on film. I think, I think to the like the Krypton stuff of Man of Steel, and I can't picture a background.
Right.
I'm like, was it like, were they in a cave?
I mean,
Is
it all
just
looks
caves?
it looks like a
Right.
cave. I think it was open air because they shoot something
Yeah.
up into the sky, but like, yeah, it looks like a cave.
Yes. No, I thought Krypton was, I like Krypton, and I guess that's Argo.
Right. Yeah, I assume that's the chunk that floats away
Right.
is her city.
I did, I mean, it's awful. Obviously, what happens to them is they slowly realize, oh, this irradiated chunk has now become kryptonite, and now we're slowly gonna all suffer from it. Because the book does a really good job, for those of you who haven't read the book, of showing that, and I think a lot of people may have wanted more of that because it is a slow build of like, oh, they tried really hard to survive, and again, you think about the idea of if kryptonite radiation is like other radiation, how long the half-life is and how long it would take, and they're not going to outrun it. So it's awful in the book. Right. No, I thought I liked how it was done. I was hoping for a little more of what, when he said that he and Jor-El are the ones that basically try to convince the council, I was fine with that. I was hoping for a little bit more of, my brother fell in with a Black Zero cult or something. once he realized, or he was influenced by something as to why he would say that that Kal-El should go and become a conqueror and have many wives or whatever from the movie.
Yeah.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah, they have
I forgot about that too.
There's a little moment where he kind of like, my brother said this, but and they go right back to like talking about like, yeah, your mom's not gonna make it.
Right.
And that kind
That's an excellent point. That's right, because her dad is that's right. I forgot about that reveal in Superman that Jor-El is like conquer them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would much rather have been like, even if it was just like Jor-El and I argued, had differing opinions about what Kal-El should be, and left it at that and left it vague for the audience. Because again, we talked about it when we reviewed Superman. I still, unless you show me unequivocally that Lex didn't monkey with that footage, I'll never believe that was them.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just won't. I know it's been said elsewhere that, but nope. Sorry. No. I don't accept it.
Yeah.
I just dig my heels in and I'm like, nope.
Right. I mean, I think like my interpretation of that at the time is I think we all three here, just speaking to us, kind of view it as like Clark Kent is a Kent. He's raised by Ma and Pa. Like that's his parents. Like they adopted him. That like the Superman we know is Clark Kent of Kansas. And I think James Gunn also thinks that. And I think he oversteered into it maybe by being like, oh yeah, the Krypton parents were terrible.
Right. Again.
And I think it was kind of overcompensation to get us to like Ma and Pa Kent are the parents. I think he oversteered a little bit, I think.
I agree.
It is my interpretation.
But it is a jump.
Right.
It is because Zor-El is completely kind.
Right. He seems sane here.
Yeah, yeah. Played by David Krumholtz, right?
Yeah, it's David Krumholtz.
Who's always great.
Good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like I feel like Zor-El in the comics is usually the one that's treated with more edge than Jor-El. Right. It's usually Supergirl's dad that's kind of on the border of something maybe not so good.
Right.
Generally. So it has kind of flipped them in these tellings.
Right. So yeah, I was not, that was my only thing. And I like the fact that, her parents are like, you don't have to be perfect, but you got to be good. I thought that was a nice distinction.
Yeah. I like that moment a lot.
Of how she's supposed to be. I thought that was really good. I mean, I think that works. Really, that part really, really worked. I mean, obviously, again, it's the whole thing of this, her journey is so much different than his. And I think that's, again, where this movie works really well is the idea of like, if anyone woke up tomorrow with Superman's powers, they're not necessarily going to be Superman.
Right.
Or they're not going to be Clark Kent, I should say.
Yeah.
That's my thing, is they're just not going to immediately become, the world's greatest hero just because they got the powers.
They did for the first time make me care about Krypton in a movie and make me feel for them. The fact that they survived, the fact that they got off the planet, right?
Right.
And survived it, and yet still death comes for them.
Right.
Right. Is kind of worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they were able to make a go of it for like, I mean, it's hard to tell what age she's supposed to be when she leaves, but like 15 years or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Somewhere into her teens, having been born on it.
Right.
I got a stupid question for you guys though.
Go ahead.
The moment though, I like that Zor-El and Jor-El they hinted at sort of different approaches to how to save things. And so he's like, I had my force fields. Zor-El's like, I had my force fields, and that was the technology that was going to help us. Right. Did you think when Argo is lifting off of the surface of the planet and getting wrapped around, did you think Bottle City of Kandor at work here?
I did have a moment of like, is that, are we sort of teasing the idea of a way to do it? The only reason I thought
has that ever been done in the comics? Has Argo City been the Bottle City ever?
Has it ever been Kandor?
Yeah. Or something basically just like Kandor?
I mean, possibly. I mean, I don't know. Not that I can recall. Generally, it's Kandor is Kandor and Argo City is Argo City. But the only reason I thought about it was why I thought is because it is, and again, this is just, the moment of it being a horrible disaster point, is it is so messy. And we get a bird's eye view of like what happens. It's certainly not a like people are like, hand in hand walking and they both get separated and one gets in the force. We don't have that moment, thank God. But we do see like, there are people that are literally, on the outside that don't make it, that are not, that are in, don't make it into this force field and don't manage to get away.
Yeah.
Which in my mind is when, and it made me think about Brainiac because
yes,
we're supposed to get him at some point. And generally when Brainiac does stuff, he's not exactly, it's not like he's a careful, he's not a careful entomologist. He's not a careful paleontologist. He's just an alien who wants the knowledge of the race that or people that he's stealing from.
Right.
And he just takes them. So
Yeah.
I got to figure he's not delicate, he's not careful, and that's what it made me think of that moment of like, well, this is this how it's going to be when we start seeing Brainiac?
That's exactly what I thought. It is a little clunky in a way. Where like because you're on the planet with everybody, and then you go super wide, you see the planet, and you don't really understand the nature of the disaster to begin with. So you don't know if like what am I looking at? At least for me, I don't know. Like I've been conditioned by these movies too to also like think everything is set up for something.
Sure. Of
You
course.
know, and so I'm watching the disaster and I'm going like, well, is this Brainiac at work on Krypton? Right. Is that like, and it doesn't necessarily occur to me that that's Zor-El's force field. I'm like, is that Brainiac's force field that's, you know, ripping and that's where these people live. It's like on that section that Brainiac saved. It's not, at least for what the movie tells us.
Right.
But it was just funny. I mean, like, I'm surprised. I can't believe they went with that visual.
Yeah,
know,
no, I
for DC
had that.
nerds like us, that I mean, like,
yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know how you're not supposed to. It's not evocative of other things we've seen with Brainiac doing similar things.
Yeah,
you know, where he's just basically a horrible kid just scooping up an anthill, throwing it into like whatever container he's got, you know, with a spade or whatever, a shovel, and then just plug it in there. I don't care if the ants make it. I just want to study ants. You know. Yeah, we've seen that before. It definitely flashed in my mind too of like, well, that's awful. I wonder if that's technology. But again, we don't know whether they're going to go, what Brainiac's going to be. If he's going to be straight Coluan from Kolu, or if he's going to be, you know, like he was in the animated series, or what. We have no idea just as of yet what he's going to be.
Right.
So.
But cool Krypton in this, I thought. I mean, for the first time, and now hearing the Jor-El thing, it like for the first time, it does make me want to see, like, I kind of want to see more Krypton. Like, what is it like when Bradley Cooper and David Krumholtz like we're trying to save Krypton together?
The two brothers.
Yeah, the two brothers that apparently one was he's a conqueror. I forgot. I completely forgot about that plot point.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I was like, because I was, again, it's, as you said, you know, generally it's the flip of that is that Kara's dad, or sometimes her mother, are the ones that are involved in, you know, aren't necessarily on the up and up, or they're a little more cutthroat or a little more ruthless. They're not necessarily evil,
right?
But they're just or they might be just more pragmatic than Jor-El. Jor-El's been portrayed as in various things as being, you know, a little too, you know, they think he's a crackpot. They think he's, you know, he's just overly protective of Krypton. He's not reading things right. You know, it's again, it's one of those things of they don't believe the science, right?
Yeah.
You know, Krypton rejects the idea of there's global warming or whatever version of it that kills Krypton. They don't believe him and it explodes. So, but yeah, I had that moment in my head of like, well, are they going to address the fact that, you know, is he just going to be like, yep, my brother, whew, that guy had some weird ideas, you know, because again, it's like all they tell her is, you know, you just got to, you know, be a good person and help people out,
Right.
which is again, that's the Kents, right? Like that's the blueprint for what the Kents give Clark. So it's interesting that that's where they went with it of, you know, it's what she got from her birth parents wouldn't really be that different than what got distilled into Clark. I would have liked to have seen the Kents with her. I would have liked that moment.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I was hoping we were going to get, you know, because I think, you know, I like the Kents a whole lot in the movie and what we got, but I really was hoping for more of a, you know, even if you don't like the homespun wisdom of Jonathan Kent, you know, Taylor Pruitt Vince, I personally was like, please give us more.
Yeah.
Because I think that guy's a fantastic actor. He's always good and stuff. So,
and I mean, worth pointing out, it's not a movie with a terribly long runtime.
There's that too,
which is refreshing. But it is also like, I mean, we're so new into this. I got to imagine that there's time for that. I hope that there's time with it because I agree completely, Frank. And I extend this to the comics as well. Like, I want her to be a Kent. Sure. I hate every iteration where her secret identity is not. She's also a Kent. I'm like, why would the Kents not bring her in as family? Like, that's absurd to me. They would.
Well, that's like when all that stuff in the 90s, Superman's a dick. a lot of the stuff was like, panels of Superman being like, that's all well and good. I'll see you, when next time I come by the orphanage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time here, Linda.
I'll be back at Christmas.
Right. Yeah, that was the thing. It was like, that's kind of a jerk move to leave her there when you have a perfectly good farm full of parents who would raise her and love her like they did you.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
The 50s.
So let's get into the greater DCU here while we're now like, I think we're good. It leads perfectly to sort of like, so what do we think is getting set up first? Now let's hit the obvious one, right? Because Lobo's in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
yes.
I think a very bright spot for people.
Yes. I know a lot of people are just excited for just the fact that he was included. And some people, again, when knocking the movie, were like, well, why does he have to be in this?
Right.
Can't
make everybody happy.
No. I mean, again, I think I talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it in the podcast, but we talked about it amongst ourselves. I said, there is the Mark Waid, George Perez, Brave and the Bold series that came out that has a team up between the two of them. And I thought they were drawing, someone looked at that and were like, well, that should be fun to play with.
Mm. And how much of it was in there, would you say?
Not much. Not really.
Okay.
No, I mean, nothing that jumped out at me. Like, oh, they pulled this from the book. But I thought that the, Lobo was the idea that we got Momoa finally as Lobo was obviously I was super excited. I'm a fan of the main man. In the comics and as well as in the animated series. I will say, are we talking more about the greater DCU or are we talking about Lobo?
Well, I mean, let's start with Lobo and then we'll get into
Okay.
the greater stuff after it.
For me, it was I was talking to my wife last night and I said, for me, it was what I liked about it was the fact that, again, that scene in when they're both locked up and, he recognizes that she's, not just a kid that's in trouble, that she's you're a bit of the whole you're a bit of a savage line. I thought was great. What I really liked was the fact that when she mentions that Krem doesn't have a code,
Mhm.
Lobo perks up.
Right.
Right. And it's one of those things where a lot of times Lobo is sort of played as like, a perv and a kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of played as kind of like a, kind of scummy, kind of lecherous.
Scoundrel.
Yeah. Kind of lecherous, not necessarily having a code. And I kind of like that they seem to be leaning into him being a little more, I like to kill stuff. Yeah, I wiped up all my people on my planet. I like to fight. But at the same time, I have a point I'm not going to cross, which I thought was an interesting take. And the other thing is they don't play him as dumb. That was the other thing I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Again, nothing against the performance of what's his name from Raymond. Everybody Loves Raymond as the voice
Brad
actor.
Garrett.
Yes, nothing against Brad Garrett. I love Brad Garrett's performance as Lobo in Justice League Unlimited and in Superman the Animated Series. I love that. But in this instance, he doesn't sound like a dope. He sounds like he's pretty smart, pretty clever. He just happens to be a guy that will kill you if given a chance.
Right.
What everybody else think?
As far as him in the movie, I liked the amount that he appeared in this movie. It's kind of like Krem to me.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Lobo was just going about his day. This was just an average day on Lobo that just happened to this day intersect with our protagonist's day. And so he wasn't there. He's not really helping them unless it helps him.
Mm-hmm.
So I did like it. I did like that he's not just tagging along. He's not a new sidekick or anything for her. He's just he's got his mission, she's got hers. They happen to intersect every once in a while.
Right.
Because he's not after Krem. He's not after Krem at all. He's just after this other guy that works for Krem for some other reason. I liked that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the look is always cool. I thought they did a good job on the makeup, the bike especially. It's cool to see the chopper.
I did too.
Yeah.
And that's what I was most nervous about. I was guilty as charged as far as making a snap judgment about it based on set pics because I saw the motorcycle on set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's yet another version of like, well, that's just the thing that they use practically on set for it, and that's not what it was going to look like. And they zhuzhed it up with stuff.
Right.
which I was very, very happy with because I was very underwhelmed with the way that it looked like on set.
I had not
Uh-huh.
seen any of those shots before, so my only exposure was the movie.
Yeah, and so I was nervous about that. As far as his look, I thought he looked great. I thought,
Mhm.
we were very excited when he was cast for it because we were
Yes.
he looks so much like him just in his everyday life.
Right.
I don't think he burped enough. I'll say that.
Right. Right. No, again, I was both. I both wanted, kind of like what it was not. I'll put it this way: it wasn't as bad as Guy Gardner, with Nathan Fillion and Superman, where I was like, that guy needed more. I needed more of like what makes him Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, this was more of a little bit of like, given the circumstances, I was glad with what we got. I would like him to be like, if he gets like Momoa has said, I'll come do a Lobo movie for you if it's R-rated.
Yes.
Okay.
So therefore, an R-rated Lobo, I would expect to be fully
That's
more
his
like
condition.
That's what he said.
He says, I will show up anytime you want him to be on the side,
Mm-hmm.
guest star in anybody's movie. Anytime you want me, I'm in. But he said, but
Right.
if he's going to get a movie, it is going to be R-rated. I'm going to put my foot down.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah. So that was my thing, was like, I liked, I liked him in it. I liked the what they did with it. I definitely was kind of impressed that it wasn't just, he's constantly trying to hit on whatever that moves, kind of a Lobo, while at the same time, they gave him a little bit of point of being, he's got something to him. It's just not, you're not, there's a reason why cars like, oh, that was the other question I did have was, how did she know who, again, if Clark hasn't been to space or she hasn't been out, how did she know, like, as soon as she recognized him, it's like, oh no, it's Lobo. That was my thing. It's like, again, I don't need it all spelled out for me. I don't need stuff spoon fed, but I did have that moment of like, well, what do they exactly know about Lobo?
Right.
Exactly.
For a long time, like it was, he's introduced in Omega Men, and I brought that up in another podcast. He doesn't look anything like what we know him to look now. And then for a while, I know in like when he appeared in the Giffen DeMatteis Justice League, there was like this Kundish, like this alien race that basically his name translated into he who devours your entrails and thoroughly enjoys it. That was the thing about it. So people knew that he was going to be a problem.
Right.
So that was my only thing. I was kind of curious, is like, he a known entity on Earth? Has he been to Earth? Did he go to fight Super? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where exactly does he fit?
Right.
So,
I mean,
but
my
again,
impression of it was that she'd been out in the space a while, several years, bouncing around off and on, I would say.
Right.
And she had never met him before, because that's my impression from it, is that they had never encountered each other before, because she talks about him, killing all his people. And that seems to be the extent of her impression of him, really.
Right.
And then he turns out to not be quite as fearsome, as at least unprovoked.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be as fearsome unprovoked as she first thought. That's the impression I got.
A million percent my read of it too. Is that she goes to space, she's on Earth enough that she has the suit.
Right.
And Supergirl's a thing for her already, right? We're not getting an origin of her costume in this movie. Like, she has it, it's a thing. But she's in space enough that his reputation precedes himself. Kind of like what we were expecting with Superman a little bit. Like, that's the thing with Lobo. And I think that works with Lobo. Because that's the way it would. Like, he would be, like, oh crap, this guy.
Right.
Yeah, I think Logo's got some real possibility and juice to be as a conduit to like greater things in the DCU. And I just say this based on a couple of other appearances that he had. So in the animated movie Superman Man of Tomorrow, that was like the started this new, I don't even know what we're calling that shared universe, but it was the one that just ended with the Crisis three-part animated movie. So Superman Man of Tomorrow was the first one that opened that universe up, and it was a Superman kind of origin story. But Lobo appears in that story. And you got me thinking about that moment too, Frank, where you were like, Lobo appears smart. Like, he's not a dope. And
Right.
Lobo in that appearance in that movie is really, really smart.
Okay.
Like not like scientist intelligent, but kind of
crafty.
The way that Winston is like, I know New York. I've lived here my whole life. I've been around, right? And becomes a Ghostbuster for that.
Right.
Like that's his appeal. He's like, I just know everything about this place. That's Lobo with the universe there. So like he shows up and his first meeting with Superman, he's like, what's a Kryptonian doing out here?
Right. I remember that. Yep. No, you're right.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really, really cool character to sort of carry us into other places.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since you have an actor that people get excited to see.
Right.
And I'm just happy I love it when guys get to play like the thing that they love.
Right.
And I love like hearing Jason Momoa like in interviews where he's like, no, I love Lobo. Like this is who I thought I was going to be playing when Zack Snyder called me about Aquaman.
Right.
He's like, I thought you was calling me about Lobo. And he's like, I have every comic of it.
Okay.
You know,
right.
And like I'm just happy for him. I think that's really fun. And he was a bright spot in the movie, and he was fun. I think that they could. I mean, you're right. It's not like Guy Gardner where it's like he's not Guy enough. So I'm not saying he's not Lobo enough, but I do think that they could have pushed it a little bit more.
Right.
That said, let's go into some of the other like DCU stuff. I mean, I would for a universe hopping movie, very little as far as like the rest of the DCU here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like no weird, you know, like Green Lantern line, you know,
right,
or something like that. That was my feeling, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was expecting a little bit more. Like I was expecting it to be more Easter eggy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expected at least a Green Lantern Corps appearance, just
right.
Yeah,
because they got the show coming, and we'd seen one already in the other movie. I thought it would just be like they're a presence around somewhere, not big, but like would be somewhere.
Yeah,
I was expecting that.
Or the Thanagarians. This is
Right.
why, again, I said in the Superman review, I get why you did it. It's so much easier to not have to paint wings on somebody at every instance. But if you made the Thanagarians with real wings in Superman, you have that shortcut for as a visual for a Thanagarian to be in a bar somewhere, and you just see the wings, and you're like, okay, alien, right there. You know what I mean? When they do, there's a lot of Star Wars cantina in this movie
for sure.
And I'm not saying like I guess I don't need it, but I was just expecting more to be sort of like you were saying, Frank. Like, where's Kanjar? Like, where's Adam Strange? Where's
Well, yeah. I mean, again, I didn't need a ton of it. I just thought it would have been cool if we had him, or somebody from another alien race, like somebody from the like one of the what's one a good one. Someone from Durla, someone who looks like Chameleon Boy. I thought that would have been cool. Something small. It didn't have to be something huge, or But then again, like you said, I think we're just in that age of, well, what are they setting up?
Yeah.
If they include it, so they couldn't really, there was probably a point where they're like, we don't want to put anybody in a box just yet until we're sure that where we're going to go with stuff. So I get it. I get both sides.
I mean, I don't really miss it. When it's all said and done in this movie, I don't, because it was so removed from like Earth and stuff, and the other things we do have that we know are part of DCU: Superman, Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, those elements. It was just enough removed where I was like, I don't need to. But then at the same time, you're like, you have bars full of aliens. Like one of them, like Zach was saying, like one of them could have been somebody. Like,
no, I agree.
Like one of them could have just been like grab somebody from a Who's Who, DC Who's Who, and throw that makeup on somebody, or the CG model in there.
Yeah.
So it could have been. I don't necessarily miss it, but yeah, like it's weird that it is kind of notable, I should say, that it wasn't when we're so used to it in all the movies.
Yeah.
I think it's telling, going back really quick to Jor-El.
Okay.
Like you were saying, Frank, that we don't actually get it's you don't have actual confirmation that Lex like did noodle with it. Right. Even though Gunn has said like he didn't.
Right.
Right. But like the movie doesn't tell us that. You're telling us that in an interview afterward.
Right.
I I think that this is going to be kind of a bigger thing at play.
Okay.
Throughout the first chapter of this, and I'm going at it from a couple different ways. So the fact that that's not definitive, that we don't have confirmation that wasn't noodled with, or that's not Lex, up to something,
right?
And also the fact that Kara has some edge to her, I think does set up possibly nicely. There are iterations in comics where Supergirl turns evil for some reason.
Right.
Be it like Black Kryptonite or, or she's brainwashed by Darkseid and becomes one of the Furies and stuff like that.
Some form of manipulation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's always through some shenanigans. But the fact that my read on it is that she has to work at being good like Superman. Makes me go like, is that the crack,
right,
in which the manipulation can take place? That like she wants to believe it as much as Superman does, but she can't quite get there yet. Which is the thing that we saw in like all the ads, where like he sees the good in people, I see the truth.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? And that makes me go like, oh, okay. I wonder if all of that is connected in some way.
Right.
Could be.
Just theorizing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of took the same thing, especially out of the ending of this movie. What happens at the end of it compared to what we know of Superman, and being like, I can see that being room for conflict, either directly a result of this or because of similar actions later.
Yes.
In something that happens, and they are not the same person. As much as she is inspired by him and tries to emulate him in ways, they are not the same person. And I think that will be a point of conflict further down the line.
That was something I wanted to bring up with Lobo, was the fact that he watches that.
Yeah.
I think is very important, because
let's get into it. Let's dissect it. I mean, we don't have too much more time, but let's get into it, because this is also, I'm sorry to do this, Clifton, but that's also a deviation from the book.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. We can get into that.
Yeah. That's a deviation from the book as well.
Right.
And the question loaded question, but I'll put it out there for you guys, is like, why are we still doing this?
What do you mean?
Like why do we still have superhero movies where the good guy kills the bad guy at the end?
Right.
Why are we still doing this?
Yeah. I mean, I'm never a fan of it in general.
Right.
And it's certainly not my Supergirl in that part too.
Right.
Talking of my Supergirl. But again, like I can see it as there being purpose to it in this story, in this universe, in this narrative.
Right.
Like I said, I think it is there specifically for conflict, for character conflict later. I think that's my interpretation of it in this.
I think so too.
Right. I agree. That I do think that is clear, and I think that may be one of the things that people are missing.
Right.
When they critique
I think so too.
But it is a choice. It is a big choice to do, because it's got a lot of repercussions, possibly, right? It resembles very much another movie centered around a Kryptonian where they killed the bad guy at the end. Not that I'm like that I'm aching for more creme. Like, oh, you killed off a character that's got juice.
Right.
Like, that's not it. But
I wanted a creme movie.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Like, yes. Yeah. No, I that was the takeaway I took. It was him. Because he makes the point of saying, well, the kid deserves her revenge. The kid deserves, to have that moment. And again, I don't think in that moment he looks down on Kara either. I think it's a matter of, no, you did the right thing. You carried it so she doesn't have to.
Right. I don't think he does either, too, but it does make it for the people that say I don't think she should kill. It does make it funny that he's there, because I'm like, well, if you need to get Krem out of the way narratively, so he doesn't come back. I'm like, well, Lobo's right there.
Right.
Sure.
Like, he's literally right there, and can do it himself. And can take the sword as the bounty, which is like, you got to pay me $1, right?
Right.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Um, I do think that there's a neat way to have done it without her doing it. I'm not saying I'm against her doing it, but it does. But
Right.
but every time we do this, I'm like, well, you're making it so, not in this sense where like Krem can come back, but she's gonna have to carry this.
Yeah. Oh,
But
for
that's
sure.
the point.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, but
I
that's
mean,
the,
if it doesn't come back, or if a similar action later doesn't become a point of conflict, I will be disappointed in that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Like,
agree.
what was it all for? Like, what was this for if it wasn't going to be like a character thing later?
100%. 100%.
yeah.
But at the moment, I think that's what it is.
100%. And it was exactly what we said when we watched the pilot for Arrow at Comic-Con
Yeah.
at preview night. When we watch it and he kills
yeah.
that one guy in the street,
Right.
and remember we were talking, I was like, I'm okay with it
Yeah.
But
if it causes his life to be a mess because of it.
Mhm.
Right.
Right? And he has to learn like, oh, okay, I don't do this. Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fine. But if it's just willy-nilly and it doesn't serve a bigger purpose, I agree. I'm not for it. Hopefully it is. Hopefully that's what we're gonna get here. I do think it's also like I think to actually end the book the way that to end the movie the way the book ended, which would have been nice, and I think would have been a satisfying ending.
Mhm.
I do think introduces if you did it that way, I think it introduces a prop that makes it all too convenient just to solve every threat in every movie, though.
Mhm.
Right? And I'm trying to be vague about it so we don't spoil it for Clifton, but it is something that, like, well, if that existed,
Mhm.
like, why do I need to fight anybody?
Well, I will say this. I hate the end of the book.
Okay.
Is the movie ending better than the book ending?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
You think
It's
so?
mu-
Okay, interesting.
I absolutely do. I again walking out with my wife last night, and I said, yeah, I said, because again we're just talking in general about people complaining and being jerks about the whole thing, and I said, that's a complaint is that it's not beat for beat, which again I don't know why anyone anymore thinks that what we're getting is gonna be beat for beat
Right.
from whatever's being adapted.
Even as close as this one was, being closer
Yeah.
than many, it's still not. Yeah.
No. And again, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with it. I'm
Right.
just saying there's a lot of people that, along with their misogyny and love the Snyderverse and, they didn't like the way that she looked or whatever, still, piled on that of like, well, it's not an adaptation either. But my thing was, I think the ending of the book, I don't enjoy the ending of the book. I was a very whoa moment for me when I read the end of it. I prefer this ending much more. I think this ending works a lot better. And again, while it will, I'm guessing, cause a friction point between the two, between Clark and Kara at some point, I do think it's important because it does show you the distinction. Again, this is not a thing that happens that is just, willy-nilly, right? I don't expect her to do this every time.
Right.
But in this instance, I think it was, as she says, this is for this and this is for this. And it makes sense, right? Given what happened.
Right.
So I was fine with it. I liked it far more than the book. No offense to Tom King.
Interesting.
Yeah, I liked it way more. It was way more satisfying to me than the actual comic.
I don't know if I did.
Okay. Again,
but I also don't know that I didn't.
Right.
What
No,
I
I
like
can see
about
that.
what I like about the book, and if you guys haven't read it, like pick it up. It's really good. I think the ending in the book is done in a way to put a nice cap on things.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is for better or for worse, like this is going to be the Supergirl book that is going to be reprinted perennially. Like this is going to be like her Dark Knight Returns.
Right. Her all-star Superman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, and I'm not arguing with you, Frank, because I do agree with you on some hand of it, but from just I think I get why Tom King ended it the way he did.
Okay.
Because the book is in a weird way absent of any continuity and absent of any canon. It's just sort of, it's one of those that like Watchmen, you just pick it up and you don't need to know anything. Like you really don't.
No. Right.
There's not a story that came before it that you need to know what happened. It's completely all self-contained.
Yeah.
And I think that was very much his goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I agree. I'm just gonna repeat what Clifton said. Yeah, if it goes somewhere, I'll eat it.
Okay. Very good.
So it sounds like we all liked it.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it a lot.
I really didn't know what was gonna be coming out here. I mean, because it's been so negative.
Right.
Yeah.
So negative.
Yeah. Oh no.
I do have a question for you all.
Okay.
This is based on a creator I'd seen online bring it up, who's a big fan of the movie and the book. And I'm not having read the book. Do you think like the art translated enough to this movie in addition to story? Because I know like the art is notable in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think they could have done a better job capturing some of the art style for the book, for the movie?
That's a good question.
I don't believe I think
as far as capturing like the feeling of the art, because it is a very
yes and no
Art Nouveau style from just looking at the covers. For me, it's a very brightly colored and kind of Art Nouveau lines, like lots of swirling lines, lots of natural lines.
It
what I
can
take
be
away
for
from
sure.
the covers.
Absolutely.
I would say yes and no. I think from a colorist standpoint, no.
Okay.
I think the palette that was used color wise doesn't do it justice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it is visually color wise, I think it is very much a uniquely colored book.
Yeah.
For the comic, I think it definitely has a lot of things that this movie doesn't have. I think, I think the complaint of it being kind of within, you could argue that it's within the universe of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can't say no. That's not true.
As far as like their visual language of space.
Yeah. And again, I say that as someone who, genuinely loves and enjoys those movies. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. It looks very similar to what we've gotten.
But some of that's in the book too, I think. Like, so
yeah,
it's easy to say it's Guardians, and I see the similarity too. Absolutely. How can you not?
Right.
But it's also not out of nowhere.
No.
Right?
Oh, I know.
I mean, we're talking Guardians, but like really, I mean, it's the cantina scene in Star Wars, which looms over all of this.
Yeah.
And that scene has been replicated in countless things.
Mm-hmm.
And, to answer the art thing, yeah, I agree. I see it in places. Like Ruthie's planet looks like the book.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the book goes to more places too.
That's the other thing.
Than this movie does.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I would say that, again, I think the biggest complaint when people have that complaint about it not being the book is the fact that Zach was just saying, there is a fair amount of places they go to that, for different reasons.
Okay.
You get a lot more of like
a little more travel log.
Yeah, kind of, but also it gives Kara a chance to do Supergirl stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
To be actually like to be super, like it's not, and again, I don't think the movie does the thing that we don't like, where it's like you're gonna tell me all the cool things that Kara's done. No, we got to see Kara do some cool stuff,
right?
While at the same time being like, oh, you help people. And when Ruthie says, oh, well, you help people that need help, we see that, and I think that's important. But in the book, you definitely get more instances of her doing stuff that isn't necessarily, it's just along the lines of or on the road kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I liked it for the fact that it is different, and for all the people too that's like she killed people throughout the whole movie. No, she didn't. Like, no, she didn't. Like,
right.
I don't think that's a fair criticism at all.
No,
I really don't. I actually think the movie's very careful.
Yeah.
I think the movie's very careful to point out to you that she's not this whole time.
Right. Yeah, she's not doing Mortal Kombat finishes on all these people. And for all I know, she could have. We don't know.
I mean, I hate to be contrarian the reputation that's out there, but really, I mean, like I really see it completely the other way. In almost every instance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I recommended it. I recommend it to people. I think it's gonna age well. I do.
Mm-hmm.
If that last moment is meant to mean something moving forward, I think the movie's gonna age better than people think.
Yeah, no, I think it will.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's our review on Supergirl. We are on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. Come find us. Come hang out. If you'd like to suggest a topic, email us at info@letmeknowhowitis.com. We're going to remind you that we post links and examples to everything we talk about on letmeknowhowitis.com. And we will see you guys next time.